Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Greg Kidd joins us. He's a Democratic candidate for CD2, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
My whole life has been public service. It's about people. And when we work together instead of yelling at each other, we get things done. We don't always get everything we want, but that's our system of government, give and take. We don't give up, we keep working, we keep pushing. And when we break ground on Nevada's first children's hospital, when crime rates come down, and when graduation rates improve, that motivates me. That's why I do it.
The Road to Riches leads straight to the Carson Valley Inn. Cash drawings Thursday and Saturdays. Over 480 winners. Score up to $15,000 weekly. Plus one $10,000 cash winner and the $20,000 guaranteed grand prize giveaways. Free meals, free play, and more. Only at the Carson Valley Inn.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
It happens. And when it does, there's UMC Quick Care.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're very pleased to welcome back to the program Greg Kidd. He is a Democratic candidate for CD2. Previously ran as an independent. This time you're running as a Democrat. Pleasure to have you back on the program.
Thank you for having me again.
James said, we should also point out there are 27 people running for CD2. That's what happens when an open seat after 15 years pops open and everybody wants to jump in. One of the things that James Settlemeyer was talking about on the program a week or so ago was that he is willing to put up a 10-year commitment minimum if he gets elected because that's how long it takes to get seniority in Washington, D.C. And you and I talked about this in the past about, first-time Congress people, they get to do a lot of constituent service, and it takes time. Are you willing to put in that kind of time at this point in your life?
Yes, I am. Although I would say that to actually have an impact, you could do the seniority approach, but other folks in other ways, you can have an impact right away. You don't have to do the committee chairmanship role to have an impact.
So give me some examples.
Well, just working with the other folks that are already there, as I've done, even when I'm not in office. I mean, I come from the Fed, and so we're working behind the scenes all the time to find bipartisan agreement between Democrats and Republicans, working with the folks that are already senior and there. You become a subject matter expert and advocate, and whether that's something like the Postal Banking Act to bring financial services to rural Nevada, or something to do with, I did it for the payments industry to basically help get checks eliminated in the country, and that was a Republican and Democratic behind the scenes work with Congress to get that through.
All right, so let me ask you this. With your ability to fund things, why actually run for office when you could actually do so much more behind the scenes in a bipartisan way to get a lot more things done?
Well, that is a great question. I have to say, I really enjoy the people part of this job. So look, I have worked behind the scenes before, but I'm kind of a upfront guy too, and I like meeting the people and being direct and an indirect agent of their will. And I fell in love with Nevada. This place is, remember my campaign last time, free, fair, and wild? This is kind of like the New Hampshire of the West Coast. There it's live free or die. And having all those intermediate layers cut out and getting to shake hands and, okay, I haven't kissed any babies yet, actually. I'm actually having the time of my life. This is a mid-career decision for me to just get more involved and directly with the people rather than be a policy wonk like I was more when I was in Washington before.
All right, so as you go around now, and obviously you are doing a lot of going around, you're just about to embark on a rural tour of the entire northern two-thirds of the state. What are the issues that people are talking to you about? Is it all about the price of gas and the price of beef, or are there other issues that are popping up that are making you maybe even a little surprised that those are the issues?
Well, look, everybody knows there's an affordability squeeze, but everybody is also feeling this sense of, wow, 2026 is nothing like 2024. There's a seismic shift in the country, and we're now living in a world of America alone, America without, and whether you're a Democrat or Republican, everybody's going to be talking about how Nevada is losing out. And things that we really relied upon, again, access to the health care, issues like affordable prices, the inputs for those, for housing, gas, all those things are going in the wrong direction. And there were promises made and promises broken. And so there's a sense of real fear out there that the country is on a terrible course. And this fear is not just in one party, it's across parties, it's the nonpartisans. Things are way off course. There were concerns in 2024, but it's a very, very different election. So on top of this being an open seat, there's a real sense that the country is at the crossroads. And people always say every election's important, but I don't think you have to look too far to see that this is really at a different order of magnitude.
All right, so let me ask you this, because social media plays such an important role in pretty much everybody's lives. If you're, you can no longer just put a phone down and go out and not have it, because everything that you need is on that phone. And yet the algorithms will trend you in a direction. Doom scrolling is a real thing, and people are concerned and concerned and concerned. I used to complain to TV consultants that would come to newsrooms I worked in, and they would be asking for advice on what direction they should take. And I said, why don't you reflect the community I live in? Because we're not all going to heck in a handbasket. If you live in Reno, Nevada, for example, or if you live in Las Vegas, they're pretty nice towns. The people are friendly, the people are hardworking. The average street is a good street. There are kids doing well in school. Yes, there are obviously problems, affordability being the biggest one. But in real terms, there's a reason the rest of the world wants to come to America. You don't see this mass exit of people leaving the United States going, whoa, it used to be a great place to come to, but I ain't coming here anymore.
Hey, it's like the US dollar. People say it's under attack, but everything else is worse. And so, look, I just came over the hill, the snowpack, it's receding, but this is still heaven on earth. So I'm not saying everything's terrible. I'm just saying the direction
actually,
is uncomfortable.
It's not so much what you're saying. It's what people are feeling because of the technology. And you come from a technology background, that they are looking at things and going, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, when they don't actually look around and see that this is a great place to live. That's why people from all over the world want to come here.
Well, let's just jump in. There was a very important court case week before last in which social media, Meta has been found liable for the addictive nature because of the algorithms in social media. I think that's a great outcome. I think it's a correct outcome. There was a time when social media didn't have algorithms. Like, you would just get the posts of the people that you followed. Now it's all inserted and it creates an echo chamber, and it's a disaster. It is addictive. It affects a part of our brain just like taking a drug. And so now there's going to be consequences for having addictive algorithms. And I hope to see that that goes in another direction and we stop spending our life looking at our phones and take a moment to look back around.
I would hope that too. I think there's an unlikely feeling to that. But the other side of that, though, if you want to take it a little further, is, sales is all about selling you products. Advertising is all about telling you what's available so that you'll go buy it and finding ways. So how much difference is there really between the guy going out and selling, shoe polish versus the algorithms of the web selling you products and products and products? And philosophies too, by the way.
So on that, you're absolutely right. There's algorithms behind advertising as well, but there's also technology that blocks ads. So one of the companies I invest in and work with is called Brave. It's a browser. Everybody uses a browser. It blocks those ads. It protects you. It protects your privacy. And it also just knows how to filter out those ads. The advertisers hate it, but you have business models that aren't focused on ads. Remember when cable, you used to pay cable so you didn't have to watch ads? Now you got cable channels and they stuff ads in front of you even though you paid the cable fees. And they're just different models and different ways of doing things out there. Like one of the things I've said is, like, our healthcare system has insurance in it, which means payments. That's my world. Other countries, they don't have payments and insurance. They just provide healthcare, single payer. You don't have to do things this way. U.S. can change course, and I suggest bottom up that we do so, whether it's healthcare or this advertising or algorithms. I don't appreciate any of them, and I'd like to see them change. And that's part of why I'm going to Congress, is to get to work on those three issues.
I would make the point, and I can only speak to England. I don't, because that's where I was born and raised. But they do have a single payer system, but you do pay out of your paycheck every week, every month. Whenever you get your paycheck, money goes towards the national health system. It is not free. You have to pay for it.
Nothing is free.
Right, correct. But I mean, if you go to
Canada, it is universal.
Correct. But there is also a dual system where if you want to be seen by the specialist this week, as against waiting 6 months because you've got something that doesn't have to be fixed immediately, you can buy Bupa, which is the private insurance.
You can bump to the front. I will say, having lived in other countries as well, they have healthcare systems where whether you're an employee or a contractor, everybody's paying into the system. Here, everything is, this employer has this employer has that. You're not with that kind of employer, you get nothing. It's a very scattershot method. And we're paying 50% more than any other country, and our outcomes are terrible. Child mortality, triple any other developed country. Life expectancy, we're 4 years shorter. So we're paying 50% more, and we're at the bottom of the stack. And so I don't care whether you're a liberal or a conservative, Republican or Democrat, the way we're doing it, the way we're working with insurance companies and payments and claims, it doesn't work for the U.S. We're spending 18% of our GDP. It's unsustainable. It has bad outcomes. So I'm a fan of single payer, which might sound really, really out there. I want Medicaid or Medicare for all, but I don't want to stop there. That is not enough. You need to go further.
Okay, so I'm on Medicare.
Right.
It is unbelievable. It
terrific.
is fantastic. I mean, you look at what the doctor's office plans to charge, or hospital or whatever, you see what the Medicare rates are, they all agree to pay them, and it is substantially lower than you would pay otherwise. But the question is, I paid my whole working life to be able to get Medicare. And so if we do Medicare for all, who's paying for that?
So we're all paying for it anyways. All those folks that aren't in the system, they still show up at the hospital, and the hospital just charges everybody else more to cover them. Yes. It's already in the system.
It's the most expensive healthcare you can get.
It just has way, way more bureaucracy. When I had my shoulder done, because I wanted to get it done quickly, they said, well, $5,000 if you pay cash, $50,000 if it goes through the insurance. It's the same operation. Now, in any other industry, that would be considered fraud. But
I was going to say criminal.
It would be considered criminal fraud, right? But in our country, it's called insurance. And that's the way the system works. And it just layers in the cost. No other developed country has this insanity. And look, again, I'm a private sector guy, but there's some things, whether it's public transport, public education, in this case, public health, they're public goods, and they're more efficiently and effectively provided in a system that's comprehensive as opposed to scattershot.
When people talk about America being the richest country in the world, how does that jive with the fact that we're $38 trillion in debt?
Well, it doesn't jive very well, and I can tell you, though, somebody's catching up in terms of those kinds of numbers. It's like Iran, with this war, we've doubled the value of all their assets in the ground. It's 27 trillion. They're getting up there. It's a big number. They've got a big number too. But you can have a big lifestyle, just like anybody who spends big, but yeah, we've borrowed to do it. So we're not doing it by investing, we're doing it by spending. And so it's one of the reasons I'm for a permanent fund. Instead of doing everything short-term, year to year, we should be putting money aside, like Alaska does, like Norway does. Nevada's kind of like last in line. We're kind of a hand-to-mouth kind of place. And a lot of things are cheap, but sometimes cheap isn't the best plan for the future.
You look at the Medicare situation in Nevada. I'm sorry, Medicaid, not Medicare.
Medicaid.
There are a lot of Nevadans that would say, we're okay with it coming back to the state and letting the state handle it and deal with the inefficiencies and perhaps fraud that exists in the state. How do you feel about that?
Well, so there's always been this issue with Medicaid and these block grants, et cetera, whatnot. There is a lot of merit to the idea that the state can do a better job than the feds. And so I have no argument with that. I still suggest that universal health care with a single payer, as opposed to all these fragmented piecemeal systems, will be much better in terms of overall cost and outcomes.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more with Greg Kidd. He's a Democratic candidate for CD2 after this time out.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Story County. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
You'll be rolling with some swag during the $150,000 Spring Bling giveaways at Tamarack Casino. Make it rain with up to $5,000 in cash every week and 20 large in cash guaranteed during the grand finale drawing. We're blinging in your good times at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Greg Kidd. He is the Democratic candidate for CD2. You spent a lot of money in your last run against Mark Amity. Do you plan to spend that kind of money this time around?
Well, I plan to spend what it takes to have a competitive campaign. And this time I'm running, I think you saw, as a Democrat as opposed to a nonpartisan. And so we'll just see what the math looks like. But that was my introduction to Nevada, first time running. This time around, we'll spend what it takes to be competitive.
Teresa Benitez Thompson, former leader in the Assembly, was on the program, the show that aired yesterday as we were taping this. And she threw out a few things. I mean, she wasn't horrible to you, but she talked about love and commitment to Nevada that she has, being proud of where you come from. You have to love where you live. I'm from these communities. I'm proud of our soil. long roots in the community through good times and bad. Your thoughts on being a newcomer, relatively speaking?
Well, I think that's great. I think her candidacy is great. I think actually all the candidates have their heart in the right place. There's about 70% of us that live in Nevada that we came here for love, like we loved, but we had to come here. We weren't lucky enough to be born here. And so I can't pretend that I was born here. So I'm part of that population. We weren't on the Mayflower. So we're going to have to like make up for it by basically loving Nevada, not being born here. So I can't undo that, history line.
What she also talked about was her legislative experience versus yours, which is, you're a businessman working from the outside in. She's been in the trenches for many years.
Well, I've been very involved in legislative too, but you got to remember I come from the DC side, so I'm already DC literate, which maybe doesn't help me in some people's eyes, but I've been working on getting legislation passed both during my days at the Fed and also in the business arena we're at. We work very hard on getting legislation. And in the last year, I worked here in Nevada on AB 500 to get a new whole industry brought here in Nevada and went very hard through that process with both Democrats and Republicans.
Yes, and the Speaker carried that bill, and conservatives were along, for the ride with that, and yet it failed. Why did it fail?
Well, I've been told there's this little thing called Nevada politics, and so I lost some support, or we lost some support, both on the Republican side. Mark might have had a little something to do with that, and on the Democratic side, there was a lot of other politics. A bunch of other bills didn't get passed. Might have had something to do with Gaza and all that. And it was a revenue bill. We were actually not asking for a handout. We were going to give revenue to the state.
Quite a significant amount of revenue.
Which means it takes 2/3, not a 50% vote, and that complicated things. And then Nevada only meets for 5 months every other year. We ran out the clock, as did like the film industry and a bunch of other things. And we worked hard to make sure it would be a bill that Lombardo would sign. Some people ask, like, why did you work so hard, like, to keep Lombardo and the R's in? And because to get a bill passed, there's no Democratic supermajority. You're going to need votes on both sides. We tried to make it a bill that was as nonpartisan as possible. So I'm deep in now on Nevada local politics, and I took an ass kicking in that. But we'll be back next time because it's just good for Nevada. This is actually generating tax revenue for Nevada. It's not a handout for an industry like some of the other bills.
Right, and this was based on swipe fees.
It's based on swipe fees. And
we're
looking to bring, Nevada's good at processing payments in the gambling industry. It should be good at processing payments for the payments industry. Nevada could be a leader rather than a laggard. We need another industry. Gambling's great, mining's great. Okay, warehousing. Let's be a more resilient state.
And tech.
And tech.
And don't forget tech. Okay, let's take another break. We'll be right back after this.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain, moving 95% of our freight in the Silver State. And while essential, the road isn't always smooth. Supply chain disruptions, rising fuel costs, and unrealistic rules and laws that hamper our ability to serve our customers and country. Our prosperity and every sector of the economy, manufacturing, mining, medicine, and food from farm to table, is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
We're the Peters family, 2 combat veterans, our daughter Elle, and our Liberty Dogs puppy in training, Cooper.
Cooper will grow up to be a life-changing companion to a veteran with visible or invisible challenges.
We're helping Cooper build focus and confidence so he's ready to support his veteran.
And we know he will help bring happiness and independence to his veteran's life.
So join us, become a puppy raiser, and change lives, one puppy at a time.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games, it's a direct line to our loved ones. and it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Greg Kidd. He is the Democratic candidate for CD2, along with a lot of other Democratic candidates for CD2. You haven't taken an opportunity during this program to go after James Settlemyre, who appears to be the leading candidate on the Republican side in what has been a Republican seat ever since it came out. Teresa Benitez Thompson is probably the strongest candidate on the Democratic side that you've got to win in the primary. You didn't take a strong shot at her. What's your game plan here?
Well, I'm not a take a shot kind of guy. I'm pretty much a work with everybody. I'm not from the system. I'm not an insider. I've worked with Democrats and Republicans and nonpartisans all my life and will continue to do so. So taking a shot's not my style. I do think...
But you got to win.
You got to win.
You've got to win a primary and you got to win a general.
Yeah, but you can win in sports or you can win in business without having to take shots at people. You just have to do your job and do it well. And so in this case, for James, I think he's just got a challenge. He's going to have Mark helping him, but Mark was a go-along to get along kind of guy. And everybody's got to look and see where has that gotten the state and the district, especially in this political environment we're at. In 2026 in November, we're going to be voting on whether go along to get along works for Nevada. Hasn't really worked in the last 2 years. We got to ask ourselves, is that going to work going forward? And James is going to have that inheritance. It's an advantage, but it's also a disadvantage. And voters, all voters, Democrats, nonpartisans, and Republicans are going to have to decide, do you want to stay the course or try something different given what the results have been in the last 2 years?
And that's where we have to leave it for now. We're going to put a debate together. I hope you'll join us for that.
I look forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Greg Kidd, and we'll be right back after this timeout.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
2025 is bringing big changes for Nevada businesses. If you have more than 5 employees and have been operating for 3 years or more, you must now comply with new state retirement plan mandates. The Vegas Chamber 401k plan makes it easy, offering a proven, customizable, and cost-effective plan for employers and employees to save with tax advantages. Visit vegaschamber.com to explore options and see how the Vegas Chamber can help you start saving for your future.
At Nevada Urban Indians in Reno, your health is our priority. Our medical clinic welcomes everyone. We accept all insurances, ensuring quality care is within reach. Nevada Urban Indians, your partners in health.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. And our archive goes back to 2002. So you can look at all kinds of historic interviews right here on Nevada Newsmakers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next broadcast.